Today's topic for editorial discussion is with respect to parliamentary democracy or an executive democracy. Hindu. This article came in Hindu, dated 1st January 2023. So what this article deals with is that it talks about parliamentary democracy and how it has changed, or how different is it from the original parliament democracy in India. It asks a crucial question that what is prevalent in India, is it actually parliamentary democracy or an executive democracy? So yes, we all know that in recent times, last Sunday, what happened was the parliament was inaugurated. The parliament was inaugurated in the past week, the new parliament building, and there were a lot of fanfare and criticisms with respect to not inviting the head of the executive, that is the Honorable President, and with respect to the Sengol also. People claim that it is a symbol of monarchy, and how can it be used in a democratic situation, a democratic place where laws are made democratically. So there were a lot of criticisms with respect to these two things, and what this author tries to tell us and what this article speaks about is, amidst all such criticism and all such issues, there exists a much deeper issue that has to be addressed soon. That is the issue of irrelevancy of the parliament, the article says. The article talks about why is the parliamentary democracy irrelevant and what are its features and how it is not being followed, or how is it being changed in India. So that is what this article deals with. And he also tells, in the author and the article, it also tells us that this irrelevancy of the parliament is not due to individual actions, but it is due to constitutional design. It is due to the structure of the constitution and the design of the constitution. So he places, the article places the blame on the structure of the constitution or how the system has been designed. So yes, we'll see what are the features of parliamentary democracy that article talks about, and we'll see how is it different in India. And yes, the author gives one suggestion to improve our parliamentary democracy. So first, moving on to the features of parliamentary democracy, we have that key features. First one is intra-party dissent. So we all know that a parliamentary democracy works on the principle of majority rule. Majority rule in the sense, not every individual in the majority party that holds, for example, BJP in the Indian parliament is the majority party and is the ruling party also. So yes, BJP, not all members of BJP be part of executive. There are also other members who are only part of the parliament or only part of the legislative and not part of the executive. So what is happening is that in a true democracy, not true democracy and all, but yes, in a parliamentary democracy, what the article talks is about, it gives us an input that intra-party dissent is very much needed, is very much essential for a parliamentary democracy. Intra-party in the sense, within the party dissent. Dissent means opposition or criticism or expression. That is what dissent is. So intra-party dissent is very crucial in a parliamentary democracy. So that is what the first thing talks about. And there are various instances with respect to other parliamentary democracies also, not only India, with respect to other parliamentary democracies of India also. There are certain instances where even the ruling party, that is the majority party, have gone hand in hand with the opposition parties to defeat some bills that were not reflective of the essence of their constitution or essence of their particular ideals, political ideals and all. So this has happened. So intra-party dissent is one indelible feature or one of the basic features that upholds parliamentary democracy all over. So yes, that is the first feature, intra-party democracy. And second, moving on to the role of opposition. The role of opposition in the sense, many countries, especially the US, we all know one of the ideal types for parliamentary democracy. One of the ideal type for parliamentary democracy UK is. So UK, the role of opposition is very immense. They used to have they are having a shadow cabinet also. So in fact, like in the case of failure of the government, they can easily replace that. There is also a shadow cabinet. So that makes the role of opposition a very important thing. The role of opposition is that he is the principal dissenter against the government. He is the one leader who is willing to ask questions to the government. So the role of opposition is a very big thing with respect to parliamentary democracy, and it is also an indelible feature with respect to parliamentary democracy, the role of opposition, the opposition leader. The third feature is that of office of speaker or house of speaker. Office of Speaker. So Speaker, we all know it is the position where he looks after, takes care and looks after of the parliamentary proceedings. So what is happening is that in other democratic countries and other parliamentary democracies, the speaker is he has to be impartial, he has to be non-partisanship. So what is happening is that in countries like UK, the speaker has to resign from his job. Speaker has to resign from his job in order to be in the position of speaker. So, but in the case of India, we'll see what is happening and all. So that shows the importance of the office of speaker and how impartial or non-partisan the office of speaker has to be. So that is also an important feature or important feather in parliamentary democracies. And one of the other features that are somewhat seen in certain parliamentary democracies is that of bicameralism, or the second house or the upper house that they say. So upper house, there are a few functions. It acts as a check on the lower house. It can check the policies, it can check the legislations, it can check the orders of the lower house. That is one thing. And it can also act as a symbol of as a symbol of federalism. It upholds the federal principle. That is there. And it can also amplify the discussions and debates with respect to legislations, orders, ordinances and all such things, temporary and permanent laws. So the bicameralism or the upper house also is a major, I will not tell an indelible or a important part. Yes, it is important, but there are also other parliamentary democracies that do not have bicameral legislatures or do follow a unicameral legislatures. But yes, one of the greatest innovations or greatest technique of operation is through bicameralism for parliamentary democracy. So these are the four features that the article talks about. These are the four features that the article talks about. That is the inter-party dissent, role of opposition, office of speaker and bicameralism. So now we will see these are the features of parliamentary democracy, but the article criticizes or it evaluates our democracy, our form of parliamentarianism with respect to such features. So now we will take each part, like each topic, each feature and compare it with ourselves. So yes, intra-party dissent. So intra-party dissent, as we have already discussed, we know that intra-party in the sense within the party, dissent within the party, or opposition or criticism within the party. But in the Indian context, this has been nullified. With the use of anti-defection law or the 10th schedule. You all know, right? Anti-defection law, the 10th schedule. Yes, that thing, it makes members, it makes party people, it makes party members in the parliament to dance to the tunes of the whip or according to the whims and fancies of the leader of the house. So yes, that is what defection does to us. And one of the major criticism that is placed on this anti-defection rule is that it does not differentiate between dissent and defection. So that is one of the major criticism placed on it. That is not legitimately, that does not differentiate between dissent and defection. It thinks that both defection and dissent are the same thing, and if an individual or if a member of a party goes against the rule or goes against the order of the party whip or the party leader, he is subject to defections and he can be disqualified on the grounds of defection. So who will dissent, who will try to oppose the policies of their party when the reward is defection? No one, defection or disqualification. Yes, no one will do that, right? So yes, in the Indian context, the role played by the anti-defection law has reduced, in fact it has nullified the role of inter-party dissent. Yes, that was one thing that has been compared. And moving on to the next feature, the role of opposition. So the role of opposition in certain democracies, it has a constitutional position, it's a constitutional provision. But with respect to India, since its inception in 1950s, since the inception of the constitution and when it came into force, 1950s, from that time itself, there is no developments with respect to constitutional position. I am not telling about no developments at all. There are developments with respect to statutory provisions, but there is no step or there is no development in the direction to make leader of opposition a constitutional position or a constitutional place. Yes, there are amendments with respect to leader of opposition, but the position still remains a statutory one. Leader of Opposition Salaries Act, leader of opposition is a statutory body till date. And the leader of opposition also, with respect to other democracies, has certain control over parliamentary proceedings. For instance, in UK there is this thing called Prime Minister's questions, where the leader of opposition and other political members also, but mainly leader of opposition directly asks questions to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister has to answer those questions. But there are no such provisions or no such mechanisms or devices that are in place in the Indian Constitution. And yes, this completely gives the parliamentary proceedings in the hands of the executive. There is no parliamentary proceedings or parliamentary control with respect to the leader of opposition. So yes, this is compared there. And moving on to the next, we have office of speaker. And already we have seen in UK and all, the office of speaker has to resign in order to maintain impartiality and be non-partisan and all. Yes, but in the case of India, in the Indian context, there is no such provision for going out, or there is no provision for resigning from the party and all. So if you are in a party, you can still be a speaker. So that raises a fundamental question: to what extent that the current speaker in India, or the current speaker in any state legislature or parliament for that matter, is impartial or is non-partisan? Yes, this raises a fundamental question, and this itself undermines the office of speaker, and also that of parliament, and also that of the law-making legislative body, that is the parliament. Yes, this is one thing. Another thing with respect to speaker's offices, with respect to defection. Speaker has been given immense powers with respect to anti-defection law. He has to decide if it is defection or not. So that gives him an extra control, extra charge over his members and charge over the members of the parliament. And that can also be impartial. That can also be used against impartial methods. But yes, judicial review and all is there according to Kyoto Holland case and all. But yes, but there is scope for partiality there. Yes, and also with respect to money bills. So money bills, one of the biggest thing that can be done with the speaker. So we can term bills, certain bills as money bills, to escape the scrutiny by the upper house. With respect to India, to escape the scrutiny by Rajya Sabha, the speaker can term a particular bill as money bill. For instance, the Aadhaar bill, though the court has upheld the constitutionality of the Aadhaar Act as a money bill, there are still apprehensions and still criticism and allegations with respect to why the Aadhaar Act was termed as a money bill. So yes, there are still apprehensions, and those who criticize these things, they particularly place this point, they put this point forward that the speaker deliberately terms bills as money bills only to escape scrutiny by Rajya Sabha, only to escape the scrutiny of the upper house. So yes, this can also be done by the speaker that is opposing parliamentarism in India. So yes, that is done there. So yes, bicameralism. So bicameralism, we see there is the bicameral house, the upper house of India is that of the Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, as we all know, Rajya Sabha does not have equal powers with respect to Lok Sabha on an number of issues. Yes, it is a bit down. It does not have sufficient powers with respect to Lok Sabha. For instance, there is this money bill issue, there is demand for grants, and there is this revocation of emergencies and all such things. And the ordinance route followed by the executive when the Parliament is not in session, the ordinance route, or it is also known as the executive legislation. Such ordinance route also undermines the principle of bicameralism. So yes, there are a lot of issues with respect to ordinances. Evergreening of ordinances can happen without no developments to make it into a law. So yes, all these issues can happen, and all these undermine the bicameral provision of parliamentary democracy. So this is what the article deals with. It lists out four fundamental principles of, not all, but four fundamental principles of parliamentary democracy, and it evaluates and it measures the progress of India with respect to such features, and tells us that this shows that there is no parliamentary democracy in India, but it is an executive democracy where executive holds the most power. It is the most powerful. If executive wants, it can do anything with respect to Indian parliament. So that is what the main crux or main summary of the article is. So the article concludes like this: though the new Parliament building has been inaugurated, the question of can India be called a parliamentary democracy, or has it morphed into a executive one, still lingers on top. And it also suggests a few remedies. Not only remedy, it suggests a single remedy is that of to bring constitutional reforms, to bring it in tune with, to bring the constitution in tune with parliamentarism and its concept. So yes, thank you.